Right, let's run through with this a bit. Going back a little bit, you went to the wonderful public school, St. Joseph's College, on a sports scholarship. How different and hard was it to adapt from Kesgrave High School to St. Joseph's? Like, what were the main differences for you?
Oh, like night and day. It wasn't massively hard to adapt. Like when I went there, everyone like brought me in real quick. You fit in straight away, quicker than I imagined. But my school before and St. Joseph's were very, very different places. I went from, I think we had 300 in my year at school to having literally 30 people in my whole year at St. Joseph's College. I had to go to chapel every morning, and the teachers still using like chalkboards and dressing in gowns. Like,
was it like 30 points for Gryffindor and stuff like that?
And the houses as well. So
yeah.
I felt like I was like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air going to like a new, but I loved it. I loved it there. I wouldn't take that experience back at all. It was just very different from Kesgrave High School where I went before. I've obviously played rugby a bit and went to high school thinking, oh, I'll play a bit of rugby there and football. Turned up to the rugby trial session. There were like 6 people over 3 or 4 year groups that turned up for the whole rugby trial to go into a school where you literally play rugby every day. It's a very different situation.
While you were there, you played in the Joseph's Rugby Festival under-18s when you were just 15, is that right? And Marcus Smith won player of the tournament that year. What were your memories of him sort of back then?
He won it a few years later. So I never played against Marcus. I actually went back. My school sort of asked me to present the trophy, and I think I presented it to Marcus in the end. But like seeing him that weekend, that tournament, he was just like miles above the rest. Without bigging him up too much, he was unbelievable. And then my experience of playing with him when he's been in camp, I think he came into one Saxons camp a year I was involved, and it was still pretty early days for him. And he came in at probably 19 years old, 20 years old, and was calling the shots against some guys who'd been there for years. So he's impressive Marcus, and no shock that he's gone on to do what he has really.
You captained St. Joseph's to success in the Joseph's Rugby Festival. Also, you won Roslyn Park, the National Sevens tournament. Big recollections from those tournaments?
Yeah, I mean, it's strange. Like you look back on those days then, and that was like the rugby tournament was like Premiership final, World Cup final for those boys. Like it's when I joined in year 8 or year 9. You like watched the boys get presented their jerseys for the festival, and they sing hymns in front of the school. It's like it's a massive thing. So I think having that focus and like looking up to those boys playing the festival for ages and like getting them presented their festival shirts, like every boy in that school is literally like dreaming to play in the festival, and the whole school's there and all the girls there are watching. So you're like, I want to do well. Like it's just they build up this whole occasion for 5-6 years while you're at the school. So it was, I think, brilliant to have that focus for me.
You're only 26. You're in the form of your life. How come Eddie Jones hasn't been on the phone to you over the last year? Or if he has been, what's he been saying?
He's been talking, which is good. He just keeps saying to sort of truck away and make sure I'm very much improvement focused rather than outcome focused. I probably got lured into thinking about selection too much at times, and when you focus on that, you don't focus on improving, and you don't play a natural game, and got lured into that. But I'm not under no illusion that back row situation in England at the moment is unbelievable, with the likes of Curry, both Curry brothers, and Simo and Don Brandt and Underhill coming through, and everyone. It's a great, it's a blessing and a curse that there's so many good competition in the country. It keeps you pushing on, but at the same time, it's like there's some great players ahead of you as well. So I'm very much focused on Saints at the moment, and I think if you're performing at Saints, the rest, and it's cliche, but the rest looks after itself, doesn't it?
Do you find it more frustrating or a challenge that you happen to be in an era where England have one of the strongest back rows that they've ever had?
Yeah, I think it's challenging. It's definitely challenging, and it's easy to get frustrated at things. But there's always something you can do better to keep your focus on. And until I play the perfect game, which is basically never, there's no point getting frustrated about it. You just got to try and be better next week, and the week after, and the week after that. And at the end of the day, I'll find my level, if that's playing for Saints week in, week out, or whether that's potentially gaining more England caps. I'll find my level. I've just got to make sure there's no regrets around how much I've put into my career, and making sure that for me, I give myself the best opportunity to go and perform. And if I haven't done that, then and I put everything into it, then fair play at the end of the day, and that's it, and that's my level.
Sorry, Max, were you going to say something?
I was going to ask him. Okay, you can't pick yourself, Louis, but who's your starting in the back row?
I have to go Big Courts in there as my teammate.
Oh, yeah, of course you have to put him in.
Tom Curry is unbelievable. Gets through a lot of work, and then to pick between Simo and Don Brown at the moment is pretty much an impossible job. But yeah, like being in England and in camp and being in that sort of back row cell group and looking around, there's so much you can learn from all those boys. Like everyone's taking parts of each other's game to sort of improve, and I guess that's the blessing of it, really.
There's been a lot of recent articles about how crazy Eddie Jones is. We've also had a couple of people on here. We had Jack Knoll giving a story, I think, with Marlon Yard, which was very funny. And particularly about how Eddie Jones is in training and in camp. But any crazy encounters you've had with him or witnessed whilst you've been in camp?
Yeah. God, where do I start? Eddie's class. Like I think he knows how to get the best out of the individual. I've seen coaches before where it's very much a one rule fits everyone, and that he treats everyone the same. But with Eddie, it's like he knows how people are going to react to things. So I went into, I think it was my very first camp with Paul Hill. It's when I realised this. He sort of he took me aside, and it was like I knew it was a test immediately, and he sort of got these soapy balls, and he's dipping them in soapy water, and he's like kicking them pretty much as hard as he can at me, and he's saying like to catch them, and I've dropped like 3 or 4 on a bounce, like it's my first one, and he's just said like, relax mate, like it's all good, relax your hands mate. I won't do his accent. I'll never talk to him again. He's sort of really encouraging. I'm like, this is not the Eddie I've like heard about, experienced, seen. And Paul Hill has just done scrums. He comes like waddling over, and he's like, can I get involved? And he's like, yeah, get involved. And literally, he kicked this ball harder than he's ever kicked the ball at me. And Hilly's like dropped it, and he's just gone, Hilly, what the fuck are you doing, mate? What's going on? And he's like, so we've done this drill, and Hilly's dropped the next 3, and he's like obviously demoralised walking back. And then Eddie's like come over, and he's all like nice again to Hilly. He's like, Hilly, you like scrumming, mate? And Hilly's like, oh yeah, I love scrumming, boss. I love scrumming. And Eddie's gone, you better fucking like scrumming if you're gonna catch like that, mate. Just like see how he was like with me straight away to him, and how you get the best out of different people is like is how he operates, and definitely got the best out of me. Hasn't always been comfortable, but he definitely got the best.